Hello. Let's see, it's about 5 p.m. in the afternoon. Um, I made a change again. I put my DOS keyboard back hooked up. And in order to, it's not lighted. It's not, I love this keyboard. It's, I think about it, 200, I think it was a $200 keyboard. It's built, oh man, built massive. Let me see if I can bring this up where you can see it. Oops, I guess I shouldn't have tied off that tie with the, that would, I guess, not a good idea. So I may need to activate this, oh, wait a minute, it's already activated. I forgot. Okay. Hang on a second here. Here it is. Well, that's still not going to work. Maybe I need to move this other camera back a little bit further. See how far back we could go. How far back can we go? Well, we gotta unscrew this thing. Ouch. Okay. Put it back there and do a turn like this and tighten it. Or I could just loosen this up a little bit. Oh well. There you go. So there is that keyboard. It's a really nice keyboard. I forget when I got it. I'm not sure who's doing the reserve training over at the air base today. But been a lot of military aircraft flying overhead. We're about 5 miles from what used to be Carswell Air Force Base. And SAC flew out of there, Strategic Air Command. And with nuclear weapons, you know, they were in the air. Not inside of the USSR's territorial areas, but they were up there in position in case there was a strike, made against the United States or NATO. They would have been, already there. Anyway, this is a great keyboard. Not lighted. That's the only disadvantage I can see. I like the keys. I like the numbers. I mean, in fact, I think the other day, in a video a while back, I was talking about this other keyboard, which is nice. But, sixes don't look like a 6 exactly. And a G doesn't look exactly like a G. And that these are black keyboards with white, and I recognize every letter of the alphabet. I was an honor student. Oh my God. Bless me, Father. It's been 25 years, my last confession. I told a lie about a keyboard. So if everything is, and it has the round, dial for the speaker, or for the, for the speaker, and it's a great keyboard. But I had to hook up one of these lights on the, which I happen to have up here on top of the monitor. So I'm not sure how long I'll keep this. I don't know. I think I'll keep it as long as this is where my desk is. actually table. So, okay, I went to my doctor's office this morning. They sent I use, it's not called MITS, what's it actually called? I forget. Anyway, Fort Worth, a service that Fort Worth provides. And they'll take people who are disabled or handicapped or whatever. A doctor has to fill out a form. And that you're, disabled. And they have certain standards for what, how you fall into that category. And it costs you $4 if they, when they pick you up and take you someplace. And then if they go and pick you back up, and that's $4. So that'd be $8 for the day. I wanted to be in the military. I didn't want to be in the Air Force. I wanted to be in the Army. But they wouldn't take me. Now, I always think, well, they didn't take me because I was so skinny. Out of, was it now? I can't remember. Was it 100 or 200 of us there for the selective service physical? I think it was 200. 199 or something like that. Anyway, but before that, I tried to enlist as soon as I got out of high school, and I was turned down because of my weight. What I totally forgot about, just pushed from my mind, was that even if I'd have been the perfect weight, my hearing was so bad there was no way they would ever take me. I found out later on, I think it's called Quota. There's a real nice site where people, well, it's not as nice as it used to be because they tried to improve it. But I think they're moving away from the improvement that they made. But somebody asks a question and then people answer it. And I actually have not been checking it recently because I spent way too much time, reading the questions and the answers. But I found out from that during the Vietnam War, which I would have, when I got out of high school, that's what was going on, and that's, if I'd have got into the military, that's where I'd ended up, because I was going to go in the Army. But I found out that, and I still might add my weight, like out of 200, that was it, 200 of us there, because they stripped us naked. I mean, they didn't strip us, we took off our clothes, and they used a marker to mark us 1 to 200. That's how I know there was 200. And I was, out of 200, I was the skinniest. I looked like I could have been in a movie for the concentration camp or whatever. So I probably still, but what they did is, during the Vietnam War, they needed men so bad that they would, they would take people who were overweight and they would take them who were underweight. Now I'm sure they still had their, certain range, and I'd have fallen out of the range. So, anyway, so they would have taken some people. It's a good thing that I didn't. That I got rejected, right away like that without, because I could have passed probably because when I took my selective service physical, in fact I passed, you just went to a door, you were lined up and doing this, you go to a door and somebody on the other side would say a number like 6, and I could probably hear that. And so I probably would, because what happened was I got sent a card for 1A, and that meant I would have been, they would have taken me. Or I'd have been in the draft, So when I went down, then when I got that was like after 2 years, I went down and the guy said, "Oh, well, I get a list of everybody's that's 1A, and I'd have been contacting you, Jim." And, they talked to me a little bit, and he said, "Well, I didn't know that." Well, he said, "The only thing we have available, is teletype repair." And I wanted to be like an 101st Airborne or something like that, which I probably would not have. I probably been they'd had to throw me off of the aircraft. Probably. I know they go through the training though, where you start out jumping, and then jump higher and higher and higher. But anyway, so anyway, I was talking to the guy, and I said, "I'm a little bit pissed because I want to make a career in the military, and I was down here when I got out of high school, and I was rejected." And he said, "Why were you rejected?" And I said, "I was told I was under the minimum weight requirement." He said, "You do look awful thin." And then he dialed over where we did we had our exam, physical exam or whatever. And they said, "Just a minute." And then they pulled up my data, and they said, "Oh yeah, we didn't notice his height and his weight." So why I say that's a good thing, because what would have happened, when I went down to enlist, if they would have sent me, they'd have said, "Okay, here, get on the bus or the train or whatever it was," and sent me to the camp. And then I'd have gone in there, and we'd have done a few things, I don't know, for a few days while stuff was testings were, stuff like was going on. At some point, we'd have gone into the room where they put the headphones on you for a real hearing test. And then it'd be like, "Shit, what in how did the hell did you make it in here?" And then they would have fucked with me a little bit. They'd have, they wouldn't be in any rush to send me home, because they would be pissed, So they'd had me out picking up trash in the yard and who knows doing what. And then they'd have sent me home. And back then, if somebody went to, basic training and then they turned around and were sent home right away, people would say they were gay, And maybe it was true in some cases, Well, I'm sure it would have been true in some cases, but so anyway, I didn't have to endure that because my dad would have told all his friends, Boilermaker friends, "Hey, my son went in the military," and then I'd have showed up a week or two later, and that would have been embarrassing to him and to me. So anyway, today I went for my every 6 months physical exam, and I'm about 200 pounds, by the way, I believe. 200 pounds, I think it is. And I think my high was 220, I think. Can't remember. Anyway, I went for my 6-month checkup, and so like a few days ago, last week or whatever, I went to the doctor's office, and just for lab work, they drew blood, and I took my own urine. And how did they know it's my urine? Apparently they don't care. I mean, they're not doing a drug screen or anything like that. So anyway, I took that, and they drew the blood, and then the results came in, and it goes right away onto the website, and so I could look it up, and right away. And I thought I saw some bad numbers. I actually showed, if you go back a few videos, I'll actually be showing, I'm showing you some of the numbers and the things that concern me. The one thing that concerned me was the, I always get it wrong, I always say it wrong, so when I say something change it to kidney number, because I'll say something else. It's a kidney thing. And that number looked bad to me because back a few years ago I was in the hospital with I had a scratch on my leg that I didn't take proper care of, just a scratch. And I ended up in the hospital for 6 days. And they wanted to keep me longer, but I left AMA, against medical advice. But while I was there, my kidney function was not doing, the numbers were not good for that. And so when I left the hospital, there was concern about that. But then every 6 weeks or every 6 months, I go for my physical, and that number, got better and got better and got better. So then there were some other numbers. I covered that in the past. I won't cover it now. But there were some other numbers. But so when I went in, I thought, and my doctor said, no, your A1C, the blood, the diabetes thing is very, very well. And then some of these others, they're good and whatever. So, and also, one or two people, I know one person at least, I mentioned this, and my diabetes or whatever, and somebody, that I took naproxen for pain, I have arthritis pretty bad, and I mentioned that, and that I took it. So when I mentioned this thing about kidneys, if I say anything else, substitute kidneys for it. I think just about everything that goes in your body that has to be, whatever it is done to it, goes through your kidneys, and they do something to it, that I don't know what they do, but so that's where all the candy that you eat and all those other stuff, goes through, I guess. I am not a doctor. So I mentioned that I took naproxen, and I mentioned that it'd been prescribed for years for me for the arthritis pain and any other pains that I would have, although it's not a narcotic. And it worked great. It worked great for me. But at least one person, I think two, said, "Oh, Jim, by the way, if you're taking naproxen, that's really bad for your kidneys." And so I asked the doctor today. I said I have a YouTube site, and the way I put it though, I said, they all think they're doctors. I'm kidding, of course. And I said, and she said, yeah, she says, naproxen is really not something that you want to be taking, frequently, because it is, hard on that. And I said, well, I very rarely take it. I only take it when I have pain. But they prescribed it when I was prescribed, years ago. It was take one in the morning and take one at night, And so she said, well, you know, if that's the way you're doing it, she said, that wouldn't be bad. But taking it every day, that would be bad, and we'd have to think about something else, doing something else. And so today when the bus service that picks you up, sometimes they use a cab when they need extra, you know, coverage. So today a cab picked me up, and then there was I was in it first, and then they picked up another person, and then they picked up another person, and then also then a cab picked me up. You know, at the end, when I was done with my thing there at the doctor's office, and it was a cab that took me home. And the cab is much nicer than the bus that they have. The buses that they have, they're nice buses, but I don't think there's any shock springs in there or anything else. I mean, every bump, and it pounds you, you know. But so I'm staying on the naproxen. Oh, and by the way, I very rarely use the naproxen for the pain, and it works great. It works great, and it's not a narcotic or anything, but oh, anyway, yeah, it was prescribed for me, you know, take it, you know, twice a day. I never did that. I just took it when I had pain, and a lot of times I had the pain and I just didn't take it. But when the pain really got bad, I would take it. But the doctor said, she said, well, really, you know, naproxen is really, you know, and there's not much else that really, you know, works as well as that. And if we had to put you in, I said, well, I only take it. And she, you know, I explained, and she said, okay, well, you're okay, you know, with that. I might have talked myself out of some good stuff, because, but anyway, so, I've had my blood work done, and it, you know, it came back. I showed it, I think, on one of the videos here. Not all of it, but I showed the, you know, and so I was mistaken. She's really happy with my blood work and the urine. But I'm going to have to be, you know, I need to get in and see the dentist really bad. And so I've got a dentist that's, well, I've never met him or anything, but about 2 blocks from here. And so I got her to do a referral type thing. And so I didn't pick a date yet, because then I need to get in about my cataracts. I have 2. I haven't been there in a couple of years, and I should go. You're supposed to go every year, especially if you're diabetic. But a couple of years ago, they were not really encroaching on the, but they may be now. So I need to take care of that. What else? Oh. my feet and my legs are a disaster area, and I need to see a doctor about that. And so I'm going to be saying, but I'm not going to do. I'm going to. I'll decide what order I'm going to do. I'm going to do them in, and I'm going to take some breaks in there. Just getting out. Going down today just to talk to the doctor and but I have to take care of these other things. There's a bunch of things. If you're young, take care of yourself. Really take care of yourself, and really exercise and do those things. Really. Don't be a Jim Howard. Although I was in good health, of course I was really skinny, and in the beginning, and then I wasn't skinny anymore. But really, seriously, and don't smoke. I smoked a few times when I was in high school, and then at an ROTC circus once a year. The schools that had ROTC or whatever. Now I went to we were full-time ROTC, where the other schools were, maybe an hour or two, 3 times a week or something. We were full-time military, called a 55C school, I think. And on Friday we were in full dress uniform, and half of the day was a parade and the whole bit. But so I was always kind of thin. I was thin. My eyes are hurting for some reason. Anyway, I've got some medical stuff that I need to have done, and checks and things like that. Well, I shouldn't have mentioned arthritis. Now it's bothering me. I think I have a couple left. Naproxen. But anyway, they're filling now 2 prescriptions for me. One is naproxen for the pain, and what's the other? I forget. So, okay. Here is my, okay, I have to switch there for you. Here's my YouTube site. Did I bring a Coke here? I don't think I did. Hang on a second. I'll be back. Don't touch. Let's see. Stop recording. No. I want to pause. Okay. Back. I know this is not... it is sugar-free. But I've been drinking. It was Pepsi until I got married. I drank Pepsi. A lot. And got married at age 26. And Darlene 18, and she drank Coke. And so rather than her having to go, pick up Coke and Pepsi, I just switched to what she was drinking. And I don't drink water, which is, it's a wonder I'm alive. I mean, people need to drink water. What I try to do, and I didn't do it this time because I wanted to get back to you all, but I have one of those, what do they call them? I need to do that now. I'm going to put you on pause again and go get it. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm tired. But I have one of those aluminum, is it Eskimo or what is it? I can't remember. Anyway, I fill that with ice and then I pour Coke. And usually the Coke is cold, the refrigerator is cold, but still going over the ice, it melts it pretty good, so there's water in there. So I guess that's enough about the doctor's office. I got a bunch of stuff. I gotta go to the skin, dermatologist for that, I'm sure. I had a pretty big one removed off the top of my head, and I've got a couple places up there at least that are, I'm sure, probably need to be removed. I wonder if I have a, I think I do. I think I have one naproxen. And they're filling the order now at the farm, and I can have it delivered. Yeah, I've got one naproxen left. I forget what they charge to deliver, not much. Where's the camera? There we are. No, that's not the camera. Naproxen. It works great. However, it works great. And years ago, I was, prescription was written for me to, take one morning and night. And I didn't do that. And I just took it when I had pain, and it works remarkably well. And there isn't anything apparently that worked well other than, some drug that works as well. But I only take them when my arthritis is really bad. And because of the kidney situation, definitely you don't want to take naproxen, like twice a day or something like that. But if you're doing like I'm doing, just taking it then it's okay. I guess nothing is always okay, but let me give you something else here to look at right now rather than my ugly mug. So probably my arthritis probably now is hurting me. Probably for getting out today. I've never, trying to think, I've never really, I haven't taken, I've never really, well, there was one video, I think I might have deleted it. There was one video in here where uh, someone gave me a marijuana cigarette and I smoked it. I don't think it was marijuana. And so I've never taken any illegal drugs, and um, uh, or controlled substances or whatever. Um, so so I haven't done any drugs. I think it's about time I'm entitled to some. Working hospital security for 30 years, man, I saw so many people coming in on drugs, wanting drugs, making up stories about, I jokingly said, by the way, told like the ER doctor and the nurses or whatever, that I had a WordPress site or something like that, and that I was going to put a section on there, what you need to say in order to get, to get drugs. If you say, okay, I'm allergic to this and I'm allergic to that, oh, I can't take that, and then, magically, the only thing left, is codeine or something. And of course I was joking about doing it, and they knew I was joking. Quite often somebody would come in on drugs, and I would find them drugs on them, or they would fall out of their pants or whatever. And a few times I just found marijuana or something, like in a parking lot. Some employee, maybe, well, it might have been a patient, come and drop their drugs or whatever. And I just destroyed them. I didn't take them, by the way. So this naproxen should start working here pretty quick. Anyway, I mentioned about the fact that see what happened. Anyway, oh yeah, I don't think I mentioned that to you. All of a sudden, I'm supposed to be taking, 2 naproxen one morning and night, and then all of a sudden, because I wasn't doing that, so I had a whole bunch left over. Then I started needing them, and gradually was taking them, and then I got down to, and then the ex-wife, she has a bunch of medical problems and whatever, and I told her, I forget what she was taking, I said, you need to get, your doctor to prescribe for you naproxen. And she didn't do it, so I was giving her some of mine, and so anyway, I got where I ran out. Well, and two, even when I saw what before, like last year or whatever, I was like, oh, I'm getting awful low, I better. So I called in, and the pharmacy said, oh yeah, you haven't, so yeah, we'll get that order right in. I didn't get it. And then after, I don't know, 6 months or something, I called again or something, and oh yeah, we'll contact your doctor and get it. Didn't get it. When I went to see the doctor today, I explained, and she said, oh, no, you should be getting it. Oh, she said, wait a minute, she said, yeah, on some of these, if you don't, there's a gap or whatever where they'll take the list, remove you from the list or whatever. And she said, okay, I'll take care of it. And I see now they're filling, I just went to the pharmacy site and they're filling my prescription for naproxen. So many people come into the hospital. I just had so many people come in, with drugs, on them that would fall out of their pocket or whatever. At the first hospital I worked at, St. Joseph Hospital, the x-ray department was on the 6th floor. And I got called up to the 6th floor, and the x-ray tech said, that person has a gun. And I said, they have a gun? Yeah. And said, look, and you could see it on the x-ray. And so I went in and confiscated that. But there were several times in x-ray or whatever, somebody's bag of marijuana or whatever would fall, out of their pants, or they weren't wearing pants or something. One time I wondered why he came in. A guy, he was insistent he wanted to come in with his friend, and everything. So he's there, and then they move this guy, and a bag of marijuana falls out of his, I don't think he had his pants on or whatever, it must have been in his undershorts or something, anyway, it fell out. And the friend grabbed that and said, I'll take that. And I said, no, you won't. So I took it and dumped it out. So I don't think I've actually ever had any real marijuana. If they legalized marijuana in Texas, I'd go ahead and buy some and try it. And it probably would be better than taking, I don't know how it would work, if it would work out better, but it might not be as, just might be that naproxen is better for, well, it depends on what well, of course, you're probably not doing marijuana for, you might be. Okay, how long, okay, this is 43 minutes, this is plenty long enough. Let me see, what am I missing? I'm using this keyboard, the DOS keyboard, and it's really nice. It is really nice, and I like the, I like the keys. I can recognize every one of them, and there's not a whole bunch of extra garbage. There's everything there that I need. And so I really like this keyboard. And they make a whole range of them, but they're kind of expensive. They're really built, and maybe I will put below a few of these keyboards, or maybe just one. If you find one, you'll find, and if you click on the link and go and buy it, I will get a little bit of a commission. It's not very much. It's like, and it doesn't cost you anything. It's like 1 to 3%, if any, is what you get, and that's not very much. But what else do I want to say? Oh, did I mention that supposedly they picked up, and I'm not sure because my grown son went and took it to him. and I hope he took it to the right people. And I just gave away, which I've had since 2012. That's really a long, a mixer, not a mixer, blender. We bought one for my grandson, and he never got it. He didn't want it. I think his mother already had bought one for him, or for him, and so it just sat here unopened since 2012. And now, when I was doing reviews for eBay. Yeah, eBay. Was it eBay? Can't remember. I was giving away a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot. I probably gave away 15 or so Kel lights, the heavy-duty aluminum, flashlights, all different lengths and stuff. And I just gave away a ton of stuff. And I've mentioned this before. Then all of a sudden, somebody said, your stuff's not listed anymore. And I went and checked. Sure enough, they had taken all of the videos. Usually people are doing, let's see, was it for YouTube? I mean, for not YouTube. Was it eBay or, I can't remember now. My mind is gone. But I should be able to remember. I think it was Amazon, I think. Wow. Okay, mind is going. But I gave almost all of that stuff away. I kept very few. There was a very few items I kept for myself, and I gave them all away. And some people mentioned something about, I forget how it came up. If something was really a problem, I knew some of these people, like from in China. I mean, I think they worked for companies that sold stuff, and then the company came up with the idea, hey, have our employees on their own, buy this stuff and sell it in America and that kind of stuff. So, and these young people, they were convinced if you didn't get 5 stars, that was going to be the end of them. And so they'd say, please give me 5 stars or whatever, and I'd say, well, but if you want me to, I'll contact you if I'm going to give you something less, and they said, yes, please do. And then I did a few, and they said, well, just, okay, don't review the item. And so I had a few people, on the computer saying, well, that's not right, and I said, no, I'm not saying that somebody that has a bad product, that it's a good product, and if they don't want it reviewed, then, oh, no, that's cheating. And I said, I don't think it's cheating. And then I'm not sure if some of them complained or if maybe, was it Amazon? I can't even remember now. I should remember. I did thousands of reviews. And I gave almost everything away. And finally, somebody said, your reviews aren't there anymore. And I went and looked. Sure enough, they were gone. I wish that the company had contacted me and said, hey, and allowed me to download those, because almost every one of my reviews had video included, you know, and I would put it on, you know, on YouTube, and but they didn't. They just, and so I still don't think there was anything wrong with the way I handled things. I didn't give anybody, you know, 5 stars when they shouldn't have, or something like that. But I got a ton of stuff and gave a ton of stuff away. And anyway, I guess maybe I should lay down. I think I need to lay down. I took, well, I think that's the last naproxen I had. But though there's more ready to be picked up at the, but I'm not gonna. The pharmacy is about 2 blocks from here, but I don't feel like walking 2 blocks, and so for a small fee, they'll have it delivered, and I'm willing to pay the small fee. So anyway, thanks very much for watching.